The parking lot was empty, except for one car. A black Mercedes S-Class, engine off, lights out, sitting alone under a flickering streetlight at 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve. Inside, Victoria Chen, Billionaire CEO, Forbes 40 Under 40, the ice queen of tech, was crying so hard she couldn't breathe. Her hands gripped the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart completely. Mascara streamed down her face. Her perfectly styled hair was disheveled from running her hands through it. On the passenger seat lay a single white lily. The same flower she'd just left at her daughter's grave. Victoria had been sitting here for 2 hours, unable to go home, unable to face the penthouse with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a city full of families celebrating Christmas Eve together. 5 years. 5 Christmases without Lily. And Victoria still couldn't figure out how to survive December 24th. A knock on the window made her jump. Victoria looked up, startled, to see a man in a security guard uniform standing outside her car. Dark hair, kind eyes, concerned expression. He gestured for her to roll down the window. Victoria's first instinct was to drive away. She didn't need witnesses to her breakdown. She didn't need some stranger seeing Victoria Chen, the woman who'd built a billion-dollar empire, falling apart in a parking lot. But something about his face stopped her. He wasn't looking at her with judgment or curiosity. He was looking at her like she was a person in pain who needed help. When was the last time someone had looked at her like that? Victoria rolled down the window an inch. "You okay?" the man asked gently. "I'm fine," Victoria lied, her voice hoarse from crying. The man studied her face, the tears, the grief, the exhaustion, and said 5 words that would change both their lives. "No one's fine alone on Christmas." What Victoria didn't know was that this security guard was Daniel Martinez, a single father who worked the overnight shift at her company's downtown office building. What Daniel didn't know was that the woman crying in the expensive car was Victoria Chen, the CEO who just approved layoffs that would put 50 of his coworkers out of work by New Year's. And neither of them knew that this chance encounter in an empty parking lot would teach them both what it means to be human again.
Victoria Chen stood in a hospital room decorated with paper snowflakes, watching her daughter sleep. Lily, 8 years old, bright smile, curious eyes, the only person in the world who could make Victoria laugh when she was stressed. Leukemia, stage 4, 6 months of treatments that hadn't worked. The doctors had told Victoria 3 days ago that there was nothing more they could do, that she should take Lily home, make her comfortable, say goodbye. But Victoria was a fighter. She'd built Chen Industries from a startup in her garage to a tech empire worth billions. She didn't accept nothing more we can do. She'd spent the last 72 hours calling every specialist in the country, researching experimental treatments, offering millions of dollars to anyone who could save her daughter. But money couldn't buy what Lily needed. "Mommy?" Lily's voice was weak but clear. Victoria rushed to her bedside, taking her daughter's small hand. "I'm here, baby. I'm here." "It's Christmas Eve," Lily said, smiling despite the pain. "Did Santa come to the hospital?" "Not yet, sweetheart, but he will." "Mommy, I want to ask you something. Anything." Lily's grip tightened. "When I'm gone, promise me you won't stop being you. Promise me you won't become one of those sad people who forgets how to smile." Lily, don't talk like that. Promise me, Lily insisted. I want you to be happy. I want you to help people. I want you to live for both of us. Victoria couldn't speak. She could only nod, tears streaming down her face. Lily smiled. I love you, Mommy. Even when I'm in heaven, I'll still love you. I love you too, baby. So much. Lily fell asleep holding Victoria's hand. She never woke up. Victoria stayed in that hospital room for 3 days, holding her daughter's body, unable to let go. Hospital staff had to gently pry her away. At the funeral, Victoria stood like a statue, didn't cry, didn't speak, just stared at the casket holding the only person she'd ever truly loved. Her sister pulled her aside. Victoria, you need to let yourself grieve. You need to feel this. But Victoria didn't want to feel. Feeling meant acknowledging that Lily was gone. Feeling meant accepting that no amount of money or power could bring her back. So Victoria did what she did best. She worked. 18-hour days, board meetings, acquisitions, expansion. She threw herself into Chen Industries with a ferocity that terrified her employees. The media called her the Ice Queen, said she had no heart, no soul, just ambition and ruthlessness. They were right, because Victoria Chen had buried her heart with her daughter. And for 5 years, she'd been living like a ghost.
Daniel Martinez checked his watch as he finished his rounds of the Chen Industries downtown office tower. 11:45 p.m. 15 more minutes until his shift ended and he could go home to Emma. His daughter was spending Christmas Eve with his mother, who'd promised to keep her awake until Daniel got home so they could open one present before bed, their family tradition. Daniel smiled, thinking about Emma's excitement. She was 6 years old, and this was her first Christmas since truly understanding what it meant. She'd been planning for months, making decorations, baking cookies with her grandmother, writing letters to Santa. Being a single father wasn't easy, but moments like this made every sacrifice worth it. Daniel's wife, Maria, had died 2 years ago in a car accident. One moment they were planning Emma's 5th birthday party, the next Daniel was explaining to a kindergartner why Mommy wasn't coming home. Those first months had been hell. Daniel had taken the overnight security job because it paid better than his previous work, and he needed every penny to keep Emma in their apartment, in her school, in the life Maria had wanted for her. It meant he slept while Emma was at school and worked while she slept. It meant he missed some bedtimes and school events, but Emma understood. She was the bravest kid he'd ever known. Daniel locked the final door and headed toward the exit, waving to the night cleaning crew. "Feliz Navidad, Daniel," called Rosa, who cleaned the executive floors. "Feliz Navidad, Rosa. Don't stay too late." "Just finishing up. These CEOs make such messes." Daniel laughed and pushed through the glass doors into the cold December night. The parking lot was mostly empty, just a few cars belonging to cleaning staff, and Daniel stopped. There was an expensive black Mercedes sitting alone under a streetlight, engine off. Someone was inside. Daniel's first thought was that it might be someone having a medical emergency. His second thought was that it might be someone planning to hurt themselves. Either way, he couldn't just walk away. He approached the car slowly, not wanting to startle whoever was inside. As he got closer, he could see it was a woman. She was hunched over the steering wheel, shoulders shaking, crying, hard. Daniel hesitated. Maybe she wanted to be alone. Maybe she'd be angry at the intrusion.
But it was 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve, and no one should be alone and crying in a parking lot. He knocked gently on the window.
Victoria jerked upright at the knock, quickly wiping her face. Through the tinted window, she could see a man in a security uniform. Not threatening, just concerned. She considered driving away, but something about his patient, kind expression made her roll down the window an inch. "You okay?" he asked. The question was so simple, so genuine, that Victoria almost started crying again. "I'm fine," she managed. The man studied her for a moment. No one's fine alone on Christmas. Victoria let out a bitter laugh. "Maybe I want to be alone." "Maybe," he agreed. "But I've worked security for 3 years. I can tell the difference between someone who wants to be alone and someone who doesn't want anyone to see them hurting." Victoria looked at him sharply. Who was this stranger to see through her so easily? "I have coffee," he said, holding up a thermos. "It's not great, but it's warm. And sometimes warm is enough." I'm not offering because you need it," he interrupted gently. "I'm offering because I'm a single dad who's learned that sometimes the hardest thing is accepting help, even when it comes from a stranger with bad coffee." Something about those words cracked something open in Victoria's chest. She unlocked the passenger door. Daniel walked around and sat down, careful not to crowd her space. He unscrewed the thermos cap and poured coffee into it, handing it to her. Victoria took it, surprised by how good the warmth felt in her hands. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Daniel said, "I'm Daniel, by the way, in case you were wondering if you should accept coffee from a complete stranger." Despite everything, Victoria smiled slightly. "Victoria." "Nice to meet you, Victoria." He paused. "You don't have to tell me what's wrong. Sometimes it's easier to sit with someone who doesn't know your story." Victoria sipped the coffee. It was terrible, but he was right. Warm was enough. "I come here every year," she heard herself say. "Christmas Eve, after I visit my daughter's grave." Daniel's expression softened with understanding, not pity. "How long?" 5 years. "I'm sorry." "Everyone's sorry," Victoria said, her voice tight. "Sorry doesn't bring her back. Sorry doesn't make Christmas Eve less unbearable. Sorry doesn't make me less angry at a world that took an 8-year-old girl who'd never hurt anyone." "You're right," Daniel said quietly. "It doesn't." Victoria looked at him, surprised he wasn't offering empty platitudes. "My wife died 2 years ago. Car accident. Left me with a 6-year-old daughter who still asks when mommy's coming home. Victoria stopped herself. "I was about to say I'm sorry." "I know." "Because we don't know what else to say. There aren't words for losing someone who was your whole world." They sat together in the darkness, two strangers bound by grief. "Do you know what the worst part is?" Victoria asked. "Everyone expects you to move on, to heal, to be okay again. But I don't want to be okay. Being okay means accepting that she's gone, means living a life she's not part of. I don't know how to do that." "Maybe that's not what healing is," Daniel said thoughtfully. "What do you mean?" "My daughter, Emma, asked me something a few weeks ago. She said, 'Daddy, does Mommy know we still love her even though she's in heaven?' And I told her, yes, because love doesn't stop when someone dies. The person is gone, but what we felt for them stays." He turned to look at Victoria. Maybe healing isn't about moving on. Maybe it's about learning to live with the love that doesn't have anywhere else to go anymore. Victoria's hands trembled around the coffee cup. "I don't know how to do that." "I don't know either," Daniel admitted. "But I'm trying. For Emma. Because my wife made me promise something before she died, that I'd make sure Emma knew she was loved. That I wouldn't let grief turn our home into a sad place. Victoria thought of Lily's last request. Promise me you won't become one of those sad people who forgets how to smile? My daughter made me promise something similar, Victoria whispered. I don't think I've kept that promise. It's not too late, Daniel said gently. Victoria looked at him, this stranger who'd somehow seen past her walls in the span of 15 minutes. You don't know me. You don't know what I've become. You're right. I don't know you. But I know you're sitting in a parking lot at 2 a.m. crying over your daughter's grave. That tells me you still feel. You still love. And as long as you can still do that, you're not lost. For the first time in 5 years, Victoria felt something besides grief and numbness. She felt hope.
December 26th. Daniel was in his apartment helping Emma build a Lego castle from her Christmas presents when his phone buzzed with a news alert. Chen Industries CEO Victoria Chen announces $50 million initiative for pediatric cancer research. Daniel froze, staring at the photo attached to the article. It was her, Victoria from the parking lot. The woman he'd shared coffee with was Victoria Chen. The Victoria Chen, his company's CEO, the billionaire who just laid off 50 people. "Daddy, what's wrong?" Emma asked, noticing his expression. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just surprised by something." Daniel read the article. Victoria had announced the initiative on Christmas morning, stating it was in memory of her daughter Lily, who died of leukemia 5 years ago. "For too long, I've let grief turn me into someone who only saw numbers and profits," Victoria was quoted saying. "A wise person recently reminded me that loss doesn't erase love. It just redirects it. This initiative is my way of redirecting that love towards saving children like my daughter." Daniel felt his throat tighten. A wise person. She meant him. His phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Daniel Martinez." "Yes?" "This is Sophia Kim, Executive Assistant to Victoria Chen. Ms. Chen would like to meet with you today at 3 p.m. if you're available. I can send a car to your location." Daniel's mind raced. Why does she want to meet with me? She didn't specify, but she was quite insistent that it was important. Daniel looked at Emma, who was watching him curiously. His mother could watch her for a few hours. "Okay, I'll be ready." At 2:55 p.m., Daniel stood in the lobby of Chen Industries headquarters, feeling completely out of place in his jeans and winter coat. The building was mostly empty due to the holiday, but the few employees present stared at him as he was escorted to the executive elevator. The assistant, Sophia, led him to the top floor, Victoria's office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture, everything expensive and cold. And there, standing by the window, was Victoria. She turned when he entered, and Daniel saw she looked different, more composed than in the parking lot. But her eyes were softer than he expected. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I saw the news, the research initiative. I meant what I said in the interview about someone reminding me that loss doesn't erase love. It just redirects it. This initiative is my way of redirecting that love towards saving children like my daughter." Daniel's throat tightened. A wise person. She meant him. She walked closer. "I didn't know who you were when we talked, and you clearly didn't know who I was." "Not until I saw you on TV," Daniel admitted.
I had my assistant look into you, Daniel Martinez, overnight security guard at my downtown building. Single father to Emma, age 6. Wife Maria died 2 years ago. You work the night shift so you can be with your daughter during the day. Daniel tensed. Is this the part where you fire me for knowing too much about your personal life? Victoria smiled sadly. No, this is the part where I ask for your help. My help? I'm a security guard. What could I possibly help you with? You could help me figure out how to be human again. What? Victoria sat down, gesturing for Daniel to do the same. For 5 years, I've been exactly what the media calls me. The Ice Queen, ruthless, cold, focused only on profits and power. I told myself it was because that's what business requires. But the truth is, I became that person because I didn't know how to feel grief without it destroying me. She met Daniel's eyes. You sat with me for an hour in a parking lot and said more true things to me than anyone has in 5 years. You didn't try to fix me or tell me to move on. You just understood. And for the first time since Lily died, I felt like maybe I could survive this. I still don't understand what you want from me, Daniel said carefully. I don't know, Victoria admitted. I just know that in that parking lot, for the first time in 5 years, I felt like maybe I could find my way back to being the person Lily wanted me to be, the person I promised her I'd be. She looked vulnerable in a way that clearly didn't come naturally to her. I'm asking a stranger for help because everyone else in my life either enables my worst instincts or is too afraid of me to tell me the truth. You're not afraid of me. You saw me at my lowest and you didn't run. You offered bad coffee and honest words. Despite himself, he smiled at the coffee comment. So, what do you say? Will you help me figure out how to be human again? Daniel thought about Emma and how he wanted to raise her to be kind, to help people, to see the humanity in everyone. What better way to teach that than by example? Okay, he said. I'll help you figure out how to be human again. But I have one condition. Name it. Whatever we do, wherever this goes, Emma comes first. I'm not going to sacrifice time with my daughter, not even for a billionaire CEO. Victoria's expression softened. I wouldn't want you to. In fact, I think part of learning to be human again means learning from someone who puts the people they love first, something I've forgotten how to do. They shook hands, 2 broken people making a deal that would change both their lives.
Over the next 3 weeks, Victoria learned what it meant to live a life focused on people instead of profits. Daniel's first lesson was simple. Come to dinner at my apartment. See what a normal evening looks like. Victoria arrived at Daniel's modest 2-bedroom apartment in her driver's luxury car, drawing stares from neighbors. Inside, she found chaos. Emma was doing homework at the kitchen table while Daniel cooked spaghetti. The TV was playing cartoons. Toys were scattered across the living room floor. It was messy, loud, imperfect, and somehow it felt more like a home than Victoria's penthouse ever had. "You must be Miss Victoria," Emma said, running up to greet her. "Daddy said you're learning how to be happy again, just like he did when Mommy died." Victoria's eyes widened at the child's bluntness. Daniel gave her an apologetic look. "Emma's very direct." "I like direct," Victoria said, kneeling to Emma's level. "And yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to do." "It's really hard at first," Emma said seriously. "When Mommy died,
I didn't want to be happy because I thought it meant I didn't miss her. But Daddy told me that Mommy would want me to be happy. That being happy doesn't mean forgetting." Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. "Your daddy sounds very smart." "He is," Emma grinned. "Want to help me with my homework? I'm writing about what I'm thankful for." Over dinner, spaghetti with sauce from a jar, nothing fancy. Victoria watched Daniel and Emma interact. The way Daniel listened completely when Emma talked about her day. The way he made her laugh with silly jokes. The way he praised her for small things, cleaning her plate, using good manners, being kind. "Why are you staring at us?" Emma asked Victoria. "Because I'm remembering something I forgot. What it looks like when someone really pays attention to someone else." After Emma went to bed, Daniel and Victoria sat in the living room with tea. "I used to be like you with Lily, present, engaged. Every moment with her felt precious. But after she died, I threw myself into work because I couldn't bear to be present with my grief. And I think somewhere along the way, I forgot how to be present at all. It's a defense mechanism. After Maria died, I tried it too. Worked myself into exhaustion so I wouldn't have to feel. But then I realized Emma was losing both parents, her mom to death and her dad to grief. I had to choose to show up, even when it hurt. How did you do it?" "Small steps. First, I just committed to being there for bedtime every night, no matter what. Then family dinner every night I wasn't working. Then really listening when she talked, instead of just half paying attention. Eventually, those small moments of being present added up to being alive again." You looked around the small apartment. You don't have much money, but Emma has something more valuable. She has you. All of you. Not just the part that's left over after work. "That's the lesson," Daniel said. "Being human means being present, really seeing people, really listening, not multitasking through life, but actually experiencing it." Victoria pulled out her phone and looked at her calendar. It was filled with back-to-back meetings, conference calls, business dinners. When was the last time she'd had an evening with nothing scheduled? When was the last time she just existed? "Tomorrow," Victoria said, "I'm blocking off 6 to 8 p.m. No meetings, no calls. Just time." "What will you do with it?" "I don't know. Maybe I'll figure that out when I get there." Daniel smiled. "That's exactly the point." Over the following weeks, Victoria started making changes. She began leaving the office at 6 p.m. twice a week. At first, she didn't know what to do with herself. She'd sit in her penthouse, feeling uncomfortable with the silence. So Daniel gave her another assignment. Do something that has nothing to do with work or productivity. Something just for joy. Victoria couldn't remember the last time she'd done something for joy. She tried painting, hated it. She tried yoga, got frustrated. Finally, she walked past a pottery studio and saw people laughing as they molded clay on wheels. On impulse, she signed up for a class. The instructor didn't know who she was, didn't care about her net worth or her business acumen. He just taught her how to center clay and pull up the walls of a bowl. Victoria was terrible at it. Her bowls were lopsided, her vases collapsed. But for the first time in 5 years, she was terrible at something without it mattering, without anyone judging her, without consequences. It felt liberating. She told Daniel about it over coffee. She'd started meeting him weekly, their conversations becoming a lifeline. "I made the ugliest bowl you've ever seen," she said, showing him a photo. Daniel laughed. "That's amazing. It's objectively terrible." "Exactly, and you did it anyway. That's what being human is, doing things imperfectly just because they make you feel something." But not everyone supported Victoria's changes. Her board of directors started complaining that she was distracted, that her new work-life balance initiative was soft, that she was losing her edge. One board member, Richard Ashford, confronted her directly. "You've become weak, Victoria. This whole grief healing journey, or whatever you're calling it, is affecting your judgment. The market notices these things." Victoria looked at him coldly. "The market also notices that our employee retention has improved 40% since I started treating people like humans instead of resources. Our productivity is up, morale is up. But you're right, I have changed. I'm no longer willing to sacrifice people's lives for quarterly earnings. That's not how you built this empire." "No, it's not, but it's how I'm going to run it from now on." After Richard left, Victoria's hands were shaking. For a moment, she felt that old pull to slide back into the ruthless CEO who didn't let emotions get in the way of business. She called Daniel. "I almost lost it today. Almost went back to being the ice queen because it's easier, because I know how to do that." "But you didn't," Daniel said. "That's what matters. Growth isn't linear. You're going to have moments where you want to retreat into old patterns, but you're fighting against that. That takes more courage than anything. What if I fail? What if I can't maintain this? What if I'm not strong enough to be vulnerable?" "Victoria, you're one of the most successful CEOs in the country. You built an empire from nothing. If you can do that, you can learn to be human again. The question isn't whether you're strong enough, it's whether you're willing to keep trying even when it's hard." Victoria closed her eyes. "Lily told me not to become one of those sad people who forgets how to smile. I've been that person for 5 years. I owe it to her to be better." "Then be better. Not perfect, just better than yesterday."
Victoria stood in the parking lot where Daniel had found her a year ago. But this time, she wasn't crying in her car. She'd just come from the cemetery where she'd left flowers on Lily's grave like she did every Christmas Eve. But this year felt different. This year, she'd told Lily about the changes she'd made, about Daniel and Emma, about the pottery class and the research initiative and the employees she'd started really seeing as people. "I'm trying, baby," Victoria had whispered to the headstone. "I'm trying to be the person you wanted me to be." Now, standing in the parking lot, she heard a familiar voice. "Fancy meeting you here." Victoria turned to see Daniel approaching, holding Emma's hand. "I thought you might come back to this spot. Wanted to check on you." "I'm okay," Victoria said. And for the first time when she said those words, they were true. Emma ran up to Victoria. "We brought you something." She handed Victoria a small wrapped package. "Emma made it herself," Daniel explained. Victoria unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a lopsided clay ornament in the shape of a star with Lily painted on it in a child's handwriting. "Daddy told me about your daughter, and I know Christmas is hard when someone you love is in heaven, so I made this so you can remember her, but in a happy way, because stars are pretty." Victoria knelt down, tears streaming down her face, and hugged Emma. "This is the most beautiful gift anyone has ever given me." Daniel rested a hand on Victoria's shoulder. "You're not alone this year. You don't have to sit in this parking lot by yourself anymore." Victoria looked up at him. "You saved my life. You know that, right? If you hadn't knocked on my window a year ago, I don't know if I would have survived." "You saved yourself," Daniel said. "I just reminded you that you were worth saving." "Come with us," Emma said, tugging Victoria's hand. "We're going to Christmas Eve service at our church, and then we're having hot chocolate at our apartment. Daddy makes it with extra marshmallows." Victoria looked at this little girl
who'd somehow worked her way into her heart. At Daniel, who taught her how to be human again. A year ago, she would have said no, would have insisted on being alone with her grief. But now, "I'd love to come," Victoria said. As they walked to Daniel's car together, billionaire CEO, single dad security guard, and 6-year-old girl, Victoria felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years. She felt like she belonged somewhere, like she was part of something bigger than her grief, like maybe, just maybe, Lily was proud of her. The Chen Industries headquarters atrium was packed with employees and their families. Today was the unveiling of the company's new mission statement, and a surprise Victoria had been planning for months. She stood at the podium, looking out at faces she'd learned to really see over the past 18 months. "When I founded Chen Industries 15 years ago," Victoria began, "I believed success was measured in profits and market share. I believed the only thing that mattered was growth at any cost." She paused. "Then I lost my daughter. And instead of letting that loss teach me what really matters, I let it turn me into someone who saw everything as a transaction, including people." The audience was silent, listening. 18 years ago, a security guard named Daniel Martinez knocked on my car window in a parking lot and asked if I was okay. He didn't know I was his CEO. He just saw a person in pain and chose to care. Victoria looked at Daniel, who was standing in the back with Emma. That moment changed my life. It reminded me that wealth and success mean nothing if we lose our humanity in pursuit of them. So today, I'm announcing several changes. She pulled up a slide on the screen behind her. First, Chen Industries is implementing a new parental leave policy, 6 months paid leave for any parent, mother, father, adoptive, foster, because families matter more than quarterly earnings. The crowd erupted in applause. Second, we're creating a $100 million fund for employee hardship assistance, medical emergencies, family crises, unexpected challenges. No one should have to choose between their job and their loved ones. More applause. And third, Victoria smiled, I'm promoting Daniel Martinez from security guard to Director of People and Culture. His job will be to make sure we never lose sight of what makes us human. Daniel's jaw dropped. Emma squealed with excitement. The audience stood, applauding. After the event, Daniel approached Victoria, still in shock. "You can't be serious," he said. "I'm completely serious. You taught me what it means to lead with humanity. I want you to teach everyone else." "Victoria, I don't have a business degree. I'm a security guard. You're a single father who works overnight shifts and still has compassion left over for strangers. You're exactly the person we need." Emma tugged on Victoria's sleeve. "Does this mean we get to see you more?" Victoria knelt down to Emma's level. "If it's okay with your dad, I'd like that very much." Emma hugged her. "You're part of our family now, right, Daddy?" Daniel looked at Victoria, really looked at her. Saw the woman who'd learned to smile again, who'd kept her promise to her daughter, who'd chosen healing over hiding. "Yeah," Daniel said softly. "She's family." The parking lot was empty except for 2 people standing under a streetlight. Victoria and Daniel, 1 year after their first meeting, on another Christmas Eve. But this time, Victoria wasn't crying in her car. This time, she was standing beside the man who'd saved her life, looking up at the stars. "Do you think they're watching?" Victoria asked quietly. "Lily and Maria?" "Yeah, I think they are." "Do you think they're proud of us?" "I think they're smiling." Victoria looked at the star ornament Emma had made her, now hanging on her keychain. Loss doesn't erase love, it just redirects it. She'd spent 5 years trying to outrun grief, trying to bury it under work and success and ruthlessness. It took a stranger knocking on her window to teach her the truth. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to live with the love that has nowhere to go, and finding new places to put it. In acts of kindness to strangers, in building companies that value people over profits, in opening your heart to new family, even when you're terrified of losing them too. "Thank you," Victoria whispered, "for not walking away from a stranger crying in a parking lot." Daniel smiled. "Thank you for rolling down your window." "Merry Christmas, Daniel." "Merry Christmas, Victoria." They stood together in the cold December air, two people who'd learned that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is simply seeing them, really seeing them. When they're broken, when they're lost, when they've forgotten how to be human, and reminding them that they're not alone, that healing is possible, and that love, even love that hurts, is always worth holding on to. This Christmas, remember, you never know what someone is carrying. The person crying in the parking lot, the single parent working overnight shifts, the successful executive who seems to have everything but feels empty inside. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is a moment of your time, a kind word, a thermos of bad coffee, and the courage to ask, "Are you okay?" Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear this message this holiday season. Subscribe to Becca's Stories for more tales that remind us what really matters. Not wealth or success, but connection, compassion, and the courage to be human. Merry Christmas. And remember, loss doesn't erase love. It just teaches us where to put it next.